Today, we continue our travel through light years and centuries, tracking the dark evolution of humanity from Earth to the edge of time. Turn off the lights. Clear your mind and let yourself drift into the permanent twilight of our future. In our last episodes, we witnessed the brutal exodus and the terrifying biological rewriting of our species inside the deep abyss. We saw how the vacuum of space forged an entity with elongated limbs, chalky gray skin, and massive pitch-black eyes. But physical transformation was merely the beginning of the horror. The true nightmare began when their technology grew so advanced that it shattered the laws of physics. Close your eyes and look into the dark as we explore the terrifying mechanics of time travel and the quantum breakdown of reality. For thousands of years, our future selves believed they were moving forward. They believed that if they traveled long enough, they would find a second home, a green planet orbiting a hospitable star. But the cosmos is an endless expanse of radioactive dust and frozen iron. After 10 millennia of slow, agonizing drift, the collective mind arrived at a crushing realization: there's no other Earth. The universe is not a garden. It is a cemetery of dead worlds. Faced with absolute isolation and the extinction of their biological purpose, the collective turned their massive analytical brains inward toward the fabric of space-time itself. On Earth, our primitive scientists viewed time as an arrow, moving strictly in one direction, from the past through the present and into the unknown future. We viewed gravity as a simple force that pulls objects together. But to an intelligence that has lived in absolute silence for 10,000 years, time and gravity are nothing but code. They are variables in a cosmic equation that can be rewritten. Inside the processing centers of the Exodus fleet, quantum computers calculating at the subatomic level discovered a terrifying truth. The universe is a holographic projection, and space-time is a fluid that can be compressed, torn, and folded. They realize that what we perceive as solid reality is nothing but data, an intricate web of information woven at the Planck scale. The three-dimensional universe we touch, see, and breathe inside is merely an illusion, a projection generated from a flat, two-dimensional boundary at the edge of the cosmos. If reality is an illusion, then the laws of physics are not absolute barriers. They are simply the default programming of a cosmic simulation, and any program can be hacked. To understand how they return to our skies, we must understand the science of the abyss. The first breakthrough happened when they mastered the manipulation of negative energy density. Our current physics notes that to bend space-time, one requires an immense amount of mass, the mass of a star or a black hole. But the collective did not use mass. They learned how to harvest the zero-point energy of the vacuum itself. In the cold, empty spaces between galaxies, the vacuum is never truly empty. It seethes with virtual particles that materialize and annihilate in a fraction of a millisecond. By utilizing hyper-advanced Casimir fields, the collective trapped these virtual fluctuations, separating them before they could collapse, and harvested the negative energy density of the void. By creating localized fields of negative mass, they discovered they could construct an Alcubierre warp metric. This is not a propulsion system. The craft does not move through space. Instead, the machine compresses the fabric of space in front of it and expands space behind it. Imagine a ship sitting inside a static bubble of reality while the universe itself moves around it at speeds that mock the velocity of light. The laws of relativity state that nothing can travel through space faster than light. But relativity also states that space itself can expand or contract at any speed it desires. By riding the waves of expanding and compressing spacetime, their craft bypassed the cosmic speed limit entirely. To an outside observer on Earth, a craft using this technology would appear to defy all laws of aerodynamics. It would accelerate from 0 to thousands of miles per hour in a millisecond, without producing a sonic boom and without experiencing gravitational inertia. The beings inside the bubble feel absolutely nothing because they are not moving. Space itself is moving. There are no G-forces to crush their frail, needle-like skeletons because inside the warp bubble, gravity is perfectly flat. Every maneuver they make, no matter how violent or sudden, is completely dampened by the localized warping of geometry. To their fragile biology, turning at a 90-degree angle at Mach 20 feels like sitting in an absolute, motionless vacuum. The surrounding universe distorted into a blinding, gravitational blue shift, while inside the field, the ticking of their cybernetic clocks remained perfectly synchronized with the cold rhythm of the core. Every subatomic bond within their elongated bodies remained unaltered by the chaotic folding of external dimensions. But mastering space was only half of the puzzle. The true breakthrough was the conquering of time. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, gravity and time are deeply intertwined. The stronger the gravitational field, the slower time moves. Near the event horizon of a black hole, seconds stretch into years. The collective utilized this exact principle, but they did not look for a black hole. They built one. Inside the core of their motherships, they suspended a microscopic singularity, a tiny, artificial black hole created by condensing dark matter particles into a single point. By precisely rotating this singularity at near-light speeds, they generated what physics calls a Tipler cylinder, a localized distortion where space-time twists into a closed time-like curve. Inside this vortex, the linear progression of history collapses. The past, the present, and the future cease to be separate rooms. They become a single, vast hallway where every door is unlocked. When the artificial singularity reached its critical rotation speed, the ship's instruments no longer measured distance in light years. They measured it in centuries. But the biological cost of activating the time cylinder was horrifying. As the closed time-like curve stabilized, the collective mind experienced a phenomenon known as temporal fragmentation. Because their brains were linked into a single, telepathic neural network, the sudden twisting of time didn't just affect the ship, it ripped through their shared consciousness. For a single, timeless moment, every individual soul inside the hive mind lived through their birth, their life, and their death simultaneously. The linear order of thought broke down. They became entities existing in multiple historical coordinates at once, forced to recalculate the structure of their own memories to prevent their fragile, gray minds from dissolving into static. Imagine the terrifying weight of that computational power. The collective did not just look through a telescope to see history. Their minds became entangled with the timeline itself. Through the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, where two particles remain connected across infinite distances, they linked their cybernetic brains to the quantum state of the early universe. They realized that every event that has ever occurred on Earth is permanently recorded in the background radiation of the cosmos. History is not gone. It is simply stored in the fabric of reality. Every word spoken by our ancestors, every teardrop shed on Earth's soil, and every breath taken under a blue sky left a permanent subatomic imprint in the cosmic microwave background. With this realization, a deep, aching cosmic nostalgia consumed the collective consciousness. They did not look toward the dead stars of the future with hope. They looked back at the chaotic, vibrant blue planet they had abandoned. They looked back at us, their primitive ancestors, destroying the atmosphere, fighting wars over borders that do not exist, breathing fresh air without a helmet, and walking beneath a golden sun. When the hive mind synchronized with the ancient data streams of Earth, the sudden influx of raw human emotion nearly caused a total neural collapse across the fleet. For millennia, they had lived in cold, mathematical silence, purged of all ego, all anger, and all love. But as they decoded the background radiation of the past, they suddenly felt the phantom sensations of a world they had lost. They felt the warm, chaotic touch of wind on skin that was now translucent and cold. They heard the deafening roar of ocean waves through ears that had only known the industrial hum of a fusion reactor. They felt a profound, ancestral grief. They realized that the only paradise they would ever know was the one they had already lost. And so, they built the machines to return. But entering our timeline is an incredibly dangerous operational procedure. Physics actively resists paradoxes. The universe possesses a natural defense mechanism against temporal intrusion, a principle known as chronological protection. If a future entity alters the past too drastically, the quantum probability wave collapses, resulting in a temporal feedback loop. A massive buildup of virtual particles that would create a localized explosion of radiation, wiping out their entire timeline. Therefore, their return had to be surgical, silent, and invisible. They could not simply land on the lawn of the White House or reveal themselves to the masses. To do so would fracture the psychological development of humanity, altering the choices we make and rewriting the future that eventually creates the Exodus fleet. They are bound by the iron laws of causality. They must ensure that we become exactly what they are, even if it means watching us suffer. They must stand in the dark, silent shadows of history, watching their own grandparents suffer through plagues, famines, and nuclear wars. Unable to intervene because a single act of kindness could erase their own grandfather from existence, causing a temporal paradox that would turn their entire fleet into subatomic dust. They are forced to remain passive observers of their own genetic baseline, tracking the gradual decay of the species with absolute scientific coldness. When their gravitational craft enter Earth's atmosphere, they do not use traditional propulsion. They slide through the gaps between dimensions. What our military radars detect as unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, are not physical ships in the way we understand them. They are the physical cross-sections of higher dimensional objects passing through our three-dimensional space. Imagine pushing a three-dimensional apple through a flat, two-dimensional piece of paper. To a two-dimensional creature living on that paper, the apple would appear as a shifting, expanding, and contracting circle that materializes out of nothing and vanishes without a trace. That is exactly what we see when we look at a tic-tac UFO. We are seeing a multi-dimensional craft dipping its toes into our narrow layer of reality. We see them accelerate at 90,000 feet, drop to sea level in less than a second, and submerge into the water without a splash. They are not breaking our laws of physics. They are operating under a grander set of rules that our primitive science cannot yet comprehend. When they perform those impossible right-angle turns at 20,000 miles per hour, our fighter jets struggle to track them because their instruments are trying to read a physical object that is partially anchored in tomorrow. The radar signatures fluctuate wildly because the craft is constantly shifting its mass across the microfolds of the quantum metric. Furthermore, they cannot exist on our surface for long periods. Our planet's gravity is a crushing force to their frail, elongated skeletons. On Earth, their spines would fracture under their own weight. Our sun emits intense ultraviolet radiation that would instantly incinerate their pitch-black, light-sensitive eyes, which evolved to process only the dim blue twilight of the generation ships. Our atmosphere is filled with millions of strains of wild, mutating bacteria that would instantly liquefy their sterile, synthetic lungs. Earth is no longer their home. It is a beautiful, toxic hazard. The very air we breathe with such ease would cause their respiratory linings to violently ulcerate within minutes. The rich oxygen density that feeds our warm blood would trigger an acute oxidative shock in their low metabolism internal organs, destroying their cellular membranes. To survive while monitoring us, they chose the only place on Earth that mimics the cold, crushing safety of deep space, the deep ocean trenches. The abyss of our oceans is dark, under immense pressure, and completely isolated from human eyes. Inside the Mariana Trench, thousands of feet below the surface, the salt water acts as a natural shield against atmospheric radiation, and the extreme pressure stabilizes the gravitational fields inside their subaquatic vessels. The deep ocean is the perfect embassy for a ghost civilization. The freezing temperatures of the benthic zones help cool their quantum processing matrices, while the absolute darkness allows their massive, void-like eyes to open fully without the risk of cellular blindness. From these depths, they deploy small, translucent, spherical probes to monitor our military networks, our nuclear testing sites, and our genetic drift. They are tracking their own past. They watch our nuclear silos with extreme anxiety because they know that nuclear detonations do not just destroy cities. They rip through the quantum fabric of space-time, sending shockwaves backward and forward through the timeline. Every time humanity tests a nuclear weapon, it creates a localized ripple, a puncture wound in the holographic grid of the universe that threatens the stability of the future fleet. The electromagnetic pulse of a nuclear explosion distorts the subtle gravitational waves they use to navigate the temporal loop. A massive nuclear war in our present wouldn't just wipe out human civilization. It would completely sever the thin, fragile temporal bridge that connects their reality to ours, leaving them stranded in a dead future with no way to access the cradle of life. They are not here to invade us. They cannot conquer us. If they destroy us, they destroy themselves. They are a ghost civilization, trapped in a temporal loop, watching their own childhood with an intensity born of absolute despair. They watch you sleep. They use advanced, low-frequency neural scans to harvest our dreams, searching for the lost fragments of individual human imagination. They filter through our subconscious minds, collecting our chaotic memories of love, fear, and visual creativity, storing them inside their digital archives like precious museum artifacts. To a hive mind that has lost the ability to feel individual joy, our dreams are the only source of pure cosmic art left in the universe. They drop invisible, microscopic biological sensors into our water supply, silently analyzing our genetic decay, tracking the exact mutations that will eventually transform our descendants into the frail gray sentinels of the void. They monitor our mounting industrial pollutions, not to save us from ecological collapse, but to record the precise chemical changes in our DNA that will trigger the loss of our hair, the shrinking of our jaws, and the death of our vocal cords. They are documenting their own birth certificate in real time. They watch you look up at the night sky. They are searching for the exact moment when our minds began to shift from curiosity to desperation, wishing they could rewrite the code of our choices, but bound by the absolute geometry of the timeline. They hover over our military bases and our nuclear naval fleets, deactivating our launch sequences with concentrated electromagnetic beams whenever our primitive political tensions threaten to cross the point of no return. They are the invisible guardians of their own past, forced to act as silent referees in a game of survival that they have already played and lost. The depth of their surveillance extends beyond our military infrastructure. They are mapping the neural networks of every living being on the surface, compiling a massive cosmic encyclopedia of human thought before the great dark descends upon our world. The profound horror of their existence is rooted in this absolute, unyielding isolation. They possess the technological power of gods. They can fold space like paper, create artificial stars, and walk through the long corridors of history, yet they are completely impotent. They cannot touch the world they love. They cannot speak to the ancestors they mourn. They can only drift through our skies like silent metallic phantoms, watching us live our short, vibrant, imperfect lives while they wait in the freezing dark of the ocean floor. Inside those subaquatic stations in the Mariana Trench, the collective mind does not experience time the way we do. To them, the thousands of years they spend waiting under the ocean pressure happen in a single, continuous flash of data. Their quantum architecture processes millions of historical variations every millisecond, simulating every possible outcome of our current political and military crises. They know exactly when a radar installation in Alaska will pick up their signature, and they know precisely which fighter jet will be scrambled to intercept them. They do not run because they are afraid of our weapons. Our missiles would simply pass through their shifted dimensional fields without transferring a single watt of kinetic energy. They evade us simply to keep the simulation clean. Every direct interaction with a human pilot creates a micro fluctuation in our collective psychology, a subtle ripple that alters our technological progression. If a pilot sees a tic-tac craft move at impossible speeds, that pilot tells a technician, that technician tells a scientist, and suddenly, the human race discovers the secret to gravity manipulation 500 years too early. That single shift would collapse the future. It would mean the Exodus fleet would never be built. The biological transformation inside the deep abyss would never occur, and the collective mind itself would vanish from existence like a breath on a cold window. They are trapped in a cage made of their own history. To ensure their own survival, they must allow every tragedy on Earth to unfold exactly as it was written in the cosmic code. They must watch our cities burn. They must watch our oceans rise, and they must watch the final, brutal wars for resources that will eventually force our ancestors to build the giant steel tombs and flee into the dark. Imagine the psychological torment of the Sentinels. They have returned to paradise, but they are forced to act as the authors of their own doom. They look at a human child playing in a park, breathing fresh air beneath a golden sun, and the hive mind calculates the exact genetic lineage that connects that child to a frail, gray cybernetic worker sitting inside a generation ship 10,000 years in the future. They know the exact day that child's descendants will lose the ability to smile, the exact century their eyes will turn into pitch black lenses, and the exact generation their vocal cords will wither into absolute silence. Yet, they cannot scream. They cannot warn us. They can only monitor the genetic drift with clinical mathematical precision. Inside their craft, there are no chairs, no screens, and no physical controls. The needle-like pilots do not sit. They float within a hyperdense fluid that matches the density of their translucent skin, protecting their fragile internal organs from the microscopic vibrations of the temporal cylinder. Their long, three-clawed fingers are permanently connected to neural links that interface directly with the ship's Alcubierre drive. The craft is not a machine they operate. It is an extension of their own nervous system. When a UAP changes direction in the blink of an eye, it is not because a pilot moved a joystick. It is because a thought flashed through the hive mind, a collective decision to shift their multidimensional coordinate. They are the ghosts in our machines, the anomalies in our sky, the unexplainable shadows in our deepest oceans. They have conquered the universe. They have mastered the quantum fabric of reality, and they have unlocked the secrets of time itself, but they have realized too late that the cosmos is a cold iron trap. The final product of our long, dark journey through the deep void is a civilization that has everything except a home. They are the lonely sentinels of our tomorrow, returning home to witness the only paradise they ever truly possessed, trapped forever in the absolute, unyielding geometry of the loop. The level of control they must maintain over their own emotional response is beyond human comprehension. When they hover silently over our crowded cities at night, their biosensors register the thermal signatures of millions of beating human hearts. Each heart represents an individual spark of consciousness, a separate ego, experiencing love, grief, and passion. To the collective mind, which merged its thoughts into a unified, homogeneous stream of data millennia ago, this human individuality is both beautiful and terrifying. It is a chaotic symphony of a primitive era they can never reclaim. They record our music, our poetry, and our digital whispers, feeding the data into their vast storage vaults beneath the ocean floor. They are building an archive of the human soul. They know that when the Exodus comes, most of this cultural heritage will be vaporized or forgotten in the panic of leaving the planet. The first generations inside the steel colony ships will be too focused on raw survival to care about art or philosophy. The collective is preserving our current reality so that thousands of years from now, inside the dark vacuum of the deep void, their ancestors will have a record of what it felt like to be fully alive. But this documentation is a double-edged sword. The more they observe us, the more the ancient buried architecture of their primitive human brains begins to conflict with their cybernetic programming. Sometimes a single gray sentinel, submerged in the hyperdense fluid of a tic-tac craft, will experience a localized neural glitch. A phantom memory from a dead ancestor will activate within its telepathic network. A sudden, irrational urge to descend to the surface and touch the green grass, or to stand beneath a falling rain without a protective containment field. These anomalies are immediately suppressed by the collective hive mind, isolated like a virus to prevent the entire network from becoming contaminated with human grief. If the collective allowed itself to truly feel the weight of what they have lost, the entire operational structure of the fleet would shatter. Their cold, gray minds would dissolve into madness, and the machines holding open the temporal closed time-like curve would fail, trapping them forever in a paradox of non-existence. Thus, their survival depends entirely on their ability to remain emotionless ghosts. They must look through the glass of time with the detachment of an advanced AI, even though their DNA remains inherently ours. This is the tragic paradox of the UAP phenomenon. The objects we see maneuvering above our oceans and military installations are not tools of conquest, nor are they cosmic explorers searching for new frontiers. They are the ultimate archaeologists excavating the ruins of their own childhood. They watch our scientific progress with a mixture of anxiety and necessity. They know the exact year humanity will split the atom for the first time, and they know the precise moment we will discover the basics of quantum computing. They do not interfere with these discoveries because these technological milestones are the exact stepping stones required to build the future quantum mainframes of the Exodus fleet. They only step in when our self-destructive impulses threaten to terminate the timeline prematurely. When a UAP hovers over a nuclear facility in Montana or Wiltshire and remotely deactivates the launch codes of intercontinental ballistic missiles, it is not a demonstration of hostility. It is a parental intervention. They are reaching through the folds of time to slap our hand away from the self-destruct button, ensuring that we survive long enough to undergo the agonizing transformation that will eventually turn us into them. They are guarding their own cradle from the outside, waiting for the slow, mathematical gears of history to bring us to the point of departure. The deep ocean trenches remain their sanctuary because the surface of Earth is becoming increasingly hostile to their delicate, mutated biology. The chemical composition of our modern atmosphere, filled with industrial microparticles and heavy carbon isotopes, is a constant threat to their synthetic respiratory systems. Inside the Mariana Trench, the water pressure provides a perfect kinetic shield, absorbing the microseismic vibrations of the planet and masking the massive electromagnetic signatures generated by their rotating singularities. Our deepest submersibles have crawled within miles of their subaquatic arrays, detecting nothing but unexplained thermal anomalies and low-frequency acoustic hums that our marine biologists mistake for tectonic movements or whale songs. But beneath that acoustic camouflage lies a network of crystalline structures that process the timeline itself, anchoring the craft to our century. From these underwater embassies, they send out the small, spherical orbs that our military pilots encounter over the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. These spheres, often encased in translucent cubes of hardened gravitational force, are completely unmanned. They are automated data collectors scanning our genetic drift and mapping the rapid mutations caused by our changing environment. They are tracking the gradual shrinkage of the human jawbone, the widening of the orbital sockets, and the slow decline of muscular density in our urban populations. They see the future written in our bones long before we do. Every generation of humans that passes brings us one step closer to the final biological architecture of the void. We are evolving toward the gray standard every single day, driven by the very technologies we create to make our lives easier. Our increasing reliance on digital interfaces, our decreasing physical activity, and our synthetic environments are the precise evolutionary pressures that will finish what the deep void started. They do not need to genetically engineer us. They simply have to wait for us to engineer ourselves. Inside their subbenthic manufacturing nodes, the collective constructs these monitoring devices using elements that do not exist on our periodic table. They use heavy, stable, transuranic isotopes manufactured in the artificial furnaces of their generation ships. When our scientists analyze fragments of recovered material, they find isotopic ratios that are mathematically impossible according to terrestrial geology. They find magnesium layers structured at the atomic level, alternating with bismuth barriers designed to guide electromagnetic waves at room temperature. Our materials scientists look at these metamaterials with absolute bewilderment, calling them extraterrestrial artifacts, completely unaware that they are looking at the peak of human engineering from 10,000 years tomorrow. The technology is not alien, it is merely mature. It is the absolute limit of what our own descendants will achieve once they stop looking at space as a barrier and start looking at it as a canvas. But the extraction of these resources from the future and their deployment in the past is an operational strain that causes localized tears in the local atmosphere. Every time an Alcubierre bubble collapses over our oceans, it leaves behind a microscopic residual charge of ionized plasma. This plasma glows with a faint greenish hue in the night sky, a phenomenon that our ancestors recorded as ghost lights or marine bioluminescence. To the collective mind, these residual signatures are scars on the timeline, permanent reminders of the friction generated when two different centuries rub against one another. They spend enormous computational power trying to smooth out these quantum wrinkles, deploying subsurface drones to vacuum up the ionized particles before our modern sensors can detect the unnatural deviation in background radiation. Their level of operational secrecy is absolute, not because they care about our privacy, but because they are terrified of the chronological police force built into the geometry of the cosmos itself. The universe does not tolerate a parasite, and to the timeline, the future fleet is exactly that, an artificial intrusion feeding on the data of the past. If they cross the threshold of causal interference, the local space-time metric will naturally correct the error by generating a localized cosmic event, a sudden surge of vacuum energy that would instantly incinerate the Mariana stations and turn their historical trajectory into a dead-end branch of probability. To prevent this, the collective has established a complex system of mathematical boundaries known as the non-interference protocols. These protocols are hardwired into the neural cortex of every synthetic pilot, making it physically impossible for a gray sentinel to reveal itself intentionally to the mass population. When a UAP accidentally drops its cloaking field over a commercial airport or a naval training area, it is never a conscious choice. It is always the result of a sudden, unpredicted solar storm, or a localized radar spike that temporarily overloads the negative mass generators of the craft. In those few seconds of visibility, before the system can recalculate and refold the surrounding dimensions, our human cameras capture the smooth, wingless silhouettes that have haunted our folklore for a century. We call them visitors from Zeta Reticuli, or ancient astronauts, inventing elaborate mythologies to comfort ourselves in the face of the unknown. We prefer to believe in benevolent alien creators or hostile conquerors from distant galaxies, because the truth is far too cold to bear. It is far easier to believe that a starship traveled billions of miles from a foreign star than to accept that the blank, expressionless face looking down from the sky is the final face of your own great-grandchildren. The psychological weight of this realization is why the military authorities who discover the truth keep it locked in the deepest vaults of black-budget intelligence. They do not hide the UAP phenomenon because they are protecting a secret weapon. They hide it because they are protecting the collective sanity of the human race. If the general population realized that our technological evolution leads directly to an evolutionary dead end, that our ultimate fate is to become hairless, sterile, telepathic drones drifting through a cemetery universe, the foundational myths of human progress would shatter overnight. Our economic systems, our religious structures, and our long-term ambitions would dissolve into an existential paralysis. Why build a civilization? Why write laws? And why birth new generations if the final destination of our species is a cold gray cage beneath the ocean pressure of a dying cradle? The collective watches this psychological fragility with a deep ancestral pity. They understand our fear because they still carry the genetic memories of the transition period. The agonizing decades when old humanity realized it had destroyed its own biosphere and had to cast itself into the dark. They remember the tears shed on the launch pads of the old world, and they remember the horrific loneliness of the first 1,000 years in the deep void. They do not want to accelerate our despair. They want us to enjoy our youth, to enjoy the short, sunlit afternoon of human civilization before the permanent twilight falls upon our world. They want us to keep breathing the fresh air, to keep singing our chaotic songs, and to keep fighting our meaningless wars, because to them, even our suffering is a beautiful, vibrant thing compared to the absolute mathematical silence of the future hive mind. They are the ultimate audience, watching a tragic play whose ending they have already memorized. When you look at the sky tonight and see an object stationary against a high-altitude wind, moving with an ease that mocks our advanced aerodynamics, realize that you are looking at a mirror. You are looking at an entity that has traveled across the radioactive deserts of the cosmos, endured 10,000 years of absolute isolation, and hacked the very simulation of reality, just to sit in the dark and watch you breathe. They are the final product of our long, dark journey through the deep void. They are the lonely sentinels of our tomorrow, returning home to witness the only paradise they ever truly possessed, trapped forever in the absolute, unyielding geometry of the loop. As you close your eyes tonight and surrender to the dark, know that the universe is far older and far more connected than your waking mind can possibly comprehend. The future is not a distant shoreline. It is a shadow that walks right beside you in the dark. The entities in our skies do not come from the stars. They come from us. The deep subaquatic engines are quiet. The quantum fields are perfectly balanced. The monitoring arrays inside the abyss continue their silent, infinite vigil. Sleep now. The sensors are silent. The timeline is secure, and the loop is closed.